Hola, bon dia. This podcast, Latin Music Station, is all about Latin music, culture, and people. Let's charge Latin energy and kick off your day with good vibes. Your host, Marika, Japanese Latina who loves Latin dance, and
Katsu, a Latin music lover. Vamos!
Vamos! So we have two amazing guests today from SONY Music, who is George and Nanami. Welcome!
Welcome!
Hello, konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa. So we actually met through like Instagram, like in the beginning, and we had an opportunity to visit Lau Alejandro's event, and I met you guys there. And today, I would like to ask you about first of all, like what's your role in SONY Music?
We're both in the same team, so we're both part of the Latin team based in the London office. So what we do is help out the people who work in the Miami office to expand Latin music outside of Spanish and Portuguese speaking countries. So our main markets are Asia, specifically Japan, everywhere in Europe, Canada, and Africa, and also Australia and New Zealand as well.
Oh, wow. So you look like everywhere except Portuguese and Spanish speaking countries.
Yeah, exactly.
That is so
Wow.
big.
That's crazy. I see. So what exactly is your mission of this team?
I guess, to kind of show the joy of Latin music and spread kind of the messages of our artists. So we work across different artists on the roster, and it's just about getting their music out to the fans in the best way as possible. And we rely a lot on kind of the markets. So we rely on SONY Music Japan to help us kind of bring that from connect Miami to Japan. And the same for, SONY Music UK. We use them to kind of help us reach different audiences across the world.
I see. Why? So it mainly like Latin music in SONY Music is located in Miami office.
So the SONY Latin team is headed up in Miami, but our team, the international team, is based here in London. So we kind of export the music.
Got it.
Miami is a big place for the music industry, right? Because all the cool artists are recording in Miami. That's what I hear in the music news.
Or Latin.
Latin.
There's a huge community there, so.
Yeah. And last week, there's like Miami Music Week is super big for Latin music. They had a huge week last week. Some of our team went out there. And then they had a big festival as well, which had to get cancelled because of the tropical storms. But it's but it's a very music-driven place for sure. I've never been though, so.
I see. Why your international team is located in London? Just out of curiosity.
I think this is the biggest office after the headquarters in New York, London is the biggest office. So I think it makes sense for them to be in Europe, in London.
Yeah, and then especially when Latin artists come to Europe, having London as a hub, then go to their shows in London or Paris or Amsterdam, it makes it easier to just kind of jump over there, those shows rather than doing a cross-Atlantic flight.
Got it. Wow. So I think many people will be eager to work in your position, like in the music industry, like spreading the Latin music all over the world. It's like a dream job. But how did you like encounter this position? Like, what's your background and why did you end up working in music industry right now?
Well, I don't have any background in Latin music. I did sort of brand strategy, marketing at university and then after university as well. And then I kind of applied through the internship program that we have in the UK, and then ended up being put into the US Latin international teams. So I worked across the Latin roster, also the US roster. So like, Miley Cyrus, Beyonce, and all the kind of big Western acts as well. But then also working on Latin. But I don't speak Spanish, so I've just had to kind of come in as an outsider and, figure out what I enjoy about Latin music. And it's been really amazing.
That's cool. What about you?
And then for me, I also don't have any background in the music industry whatsoever. My degree has nothing to do with the industry as well. So I was just kind of figuring out what I wanted to do, and I came across our current boss's LinkedIn page, and I saw what he was doing, which was expanding Latin music to Asia, and half Spanish, half Japanese. So that kind of resonated with me. And I reached out to him and started a conversation, and from there I applied to the internship program as well. And I landed the internship, I guess, and I've been here since November 2023. So it's been 16 months now.
I see.
Yeah.
That's
Last year, so we've been working together for just over a year and like 2 or 3 months. But we work together all the time. It's literally like a team, both of us, that we work.
I see. That's cool. That's really cool. So you have you're overseeing so many different countries, but Japan is one of the big focus country to spread the Latin music.
For sure. I think one of the main things is that Latin artists all love Japan and they love to visit. Like how, as you experienced, he loves Japan. He loves Japanese culture, Japanese food and everything. He even learned a lot of Japanese at his show in Saitama. He was shouting, "Konbanwa." Trying to learn a lot.
Ramen daisuki.
Ramen daisuki.
It's so cute.
And I think that when artists go to Japan and Maluma as well, they really feel like they've made it kind of globally, and I think that's partly why it's a big focus. But then also I think that a lot of Latin music really does resonate in Japan. We had last year an artist called Darumas, and they released a song called Daruma after the Nihon no Daruma-do. And that went kind of #1 on Tokyo radio at one point. So
Nice.
There's certain points where Latin music really resonates with Japanese audiences.
Interesting. Until I started to be obsessed with Latin music, I didn't know that there's so many things that resonate between Japan and Latin. So, and I think most of Japanese people also still don't know about it. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, I think that we definitely had an interesting time when we visited Tokyo, kind of seeing at Raul's show what kind of fans showed up, but there actually were a lot of people there just for Raul. They had signs. They were, a lot. I think a lot of them we noticed were half Japanese, then half Latin American or Spanish. Lived somewhere in South America before, and so I think that it was kind of a lot about that kind of connection with Latin American countries that then drove them to be a fan of the music. But then at the same time, we also had a lot of Nihonjin who really just loved Rao and loved his look and his style and everything. It just depends how people resonate with it, but it's nice to see.
We also met a lot of fully Japanese fans that learned Spanish because of Rao. They gave us a couple of
Oh, really?
fan cards saying, Rao, thank you for your music. This is how I've learned Spanish. Which is
Nice.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Actually, one of my friends got posted on Raul's Instagram, and he was waving Puerto Rico flag and a huge Puerto Rico flag and shouting loud to Raul.
Oh, you remember him?
Yeah.
I remember him because I remember seeing the Puerto Rican flag.
Yeah.
On taking videos of everyone, so
He was so happy today.
I see. So, also except Japan, how do you see the rise of Latin music globally since you started working at current role?
I mean, a lot of Latin artists now are touring specifically Europe, which I don't think we saw as much before. So it's clearly growing. Same with Japan. I know you said J Balvin is going to Summer Sonic this summer. Camila We also have a more up-and-coming artist now called Catriel and Paco. Catriel and Paco Amoroso, they're a duo from Argentina, and they're also going to Fuji Rock this summer.
Oh, wow.
wow.
It was announced very recently.
Mhm.
You should check them out.
They're really cool. They're very stylish, funny, and I think that Japanese fans will really like them.
Yeah, they're very out there and different, I think. So it kind of fits that Tokyo edgy vibe as well.
Mhm.
So they're going to Japan this July for Fuji Rock and to do some promo as well. Rao was there, Maluma was there, Camilo was there 2 summers ago at Summer Sonic as well. So there's a lot of interest in Latin music for these non-Spanish speaking fans. And yeah, same with, we have an artist called Trueno who was, I believe, last summer touring Europe as well. He was just in London. Nati Peluso was in London as well in February. So there's a lot of opportunity for these Latin acts.
Yeah, and I think also there's probably less pressure now to maybe do English tracks, whereas maybe you think of like the Latin tracks of kind of the 2010s, or kind of Shakira doing all of her famous tracks in English, and then the late 2010s when we kind of had a lot of English features or a lot of kind of English lyrics in the songs. It seems like more recently our biggest Latin artists are focusing in on, you know, the Latin heritage and just purely doing Spanish, or purely focusing on their heritage. So even the same with Rao, but also with Bad Bunny, really focusing on with their Puerto Rican heritage and celebrating, thoroughly adjusting to you know, the demands of English speak.
Yeah, that's really true. Like, I not only in like music scene, but also like in, for example, like movie scene too. Like, I think many of them are like expressing importance of going back to origin, which also started to include many like Latino culture in movie, for example, too, like indigenous culture too. So I think, yeah, that's true. Like, I totally agree with the trend.
It's a good trend, but it means it's interesting marketing it, because you have to figure out if the music is all in Spanish and we're marketing to English speakers or Japanese speakers, how are we going to tell that story? It becomes, you know, a challenge, but a more fun challenge.
Yeah. How do you manage that? Like if you can tell us some of the secret of
what's been
what
like
you're-
past challenges or hurdles that
Yeah.
you guys are tackling on?
I guess we just have to really focus on the artist's story that they're trying to tell with each release. So for example, with Rao, we knew about the history of the Cosa Nuestra album, why he was choosing this, and kind of all the different cultural reference points. So it was really about creating content that focused in on those cultural touch points, so that people could kind of understand the thinking behind it, even if they didn't understand the lyrics themselves. We also rely a lot on, you know, lyric translation videos and things like that you see a lot in K-pop. And I think that helps kind of bridge the gap in terms of language.
Like, story is really, really important and really strong.
Yeah.
And go beyond the language barrier.
But then at the same time, you have some Latin songs that are just fun, and you don't necessarily
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You just need to listen and dance, have fun.
So it's a mix.
I see. But when you kind of like do marketing strategy in many different countries, like, do you sometimes adjust focusing messages? For example, like if you do this in Japan, or like if you do this in Europe, like the way you kind of market is different, right?
Yeah, definitely. Especially like there's a huge difference, a cultural difference between Asia, and I know it's broadly speaking, but Asia and Europe as well. With China, I mean, in Asia, our main markets are China and Japan.
Yeah, and I think that that's where we kind of a lot of the time will rely on you know, Sony Music Japan or our contacts in Japan, who we have ideas, because obviously we can speak Japanese, we kind of understand Japanese culture, but we also have to kind of sometimes rely on people who know it really well and really understand the culture and can kind of help us pick out what will be interesting.
I see.
Collaborative thing. We need to collaborate to succeed.
Yeah. Like how do you collaborate between your team and like Japan team, for example, when it comes to marketing?
Yeah, we kind of send out regular updates about an artist's release to all of the markets, so Japan, but also across Europe, across Australia and everywhere, and kind of constantly update them on what the new releases are, kind of try and get them more excited about them, and kind of focus on why this artist is important to their markets. And then it becomes after that a conversation about how we can boost the song or the project in one market or the other market. And in the case of Japan, because so many artists are always visiting Japan, it's kind of an ongoing conversation where we've got an artist coming in June, what are we going to do for them? And then what are we going to do next year when someone else comes? It's kind of a lot more of a fluid thing with Japan specifically.
I see. So is there any your kind of recommended artists these days, or like hot artists, like upcoming artists that you like personally, for example?
一番好きなのはNati Peruso, I think.
Nati Peruso.
I think she's so cool. She came to London in February, and her show was amazing. I think that she is kind of similar performer to Rosalia, but also brings her own kind of theatrical side to things and has really unique vocals. And I think I love how she does kind of club remixes, and I love how her kind of brand also kind of goes to underground music and techno and stuff like that. I think she's really cool, and her style is really cool. Her visual expression and her album covers are really beautiful. So I would say Nati.
I listen to all sorts of Latin music. I love Latin music. And I love specifically old school reggaeton. So Plan B, Aventura is not reggaeton, but I love Aventura.
Aventura.
And right now, like a new sort of artist that we have on our Sony roster is Capo. So his music is very tropical. He's Colombian, very tropical.
Natsu vibe.
Natsu vibe.
It's coming.
But it's great music. Also, you don't need to understand the lyrics. It's just vibes.
Yeah.
And he's new. He also did a remix of one of his songs with Maluma.
Wow.
It's great.
What was his name again?
Capo with a K.
Capo. Katsu-san, do you know him?
Yeah, last year he made a big hit, right? Like oh na 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 na, oh na 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 na.
Yeah.
He's got new stuff coming out soon, and I think he's going to Spain on tour as well this summer, if I'm not mistaken. But he's got big projects, and he's grown so much in the last year.
I see. Yeah, that's cool. Nati Peruso, I think we also talked about her in our episode too.
Yeah, she's super cool, I think. And then we had in the same month we had Trueno, another Argentinian rapper. Pretty cool. I think he's 21 or 22. He's
very young.
super confident. He has a really great live show. It was really impressive. It felt very, very similar to kind of classic hip hop shows, and the way he kind of referenced all different artists like Dr. Dre throughout his music. It's really cool, and he's very, he's really a massive fan of music, and you can see when he performs that he loves the music that he does. He performs with his dad as the MC, so they're both together. His dad's like jumping up and down, hyping up the crowd.
That's so cool.
Dad, a famous hip hop like rapper, who was like popular in Argentina. So now they do it together, which is really sweet.
That's really sweet.
I have a question about the Latin Filter and then Koko Latino. So that's the accounts that you guys, I think like making for non-Spanish speaking countries, right? Latin Filter for English and Koko Latino for Japanese. Can you elaborate more on this?
Yeah, so when we joined the team, they already had established Latin Filtered, so we kind of took over that. And yeah, basically it's just a marketing tool for us that we use both on Instagram and TikTok. So we have our monthly artist updates. It's called Latin Filtered Latest. So at the end of each month, we kind of do like a recap of what the artists have been up to, not necessarily release-wise, just shows, if they've been to any key events, any fun social media posts that they've uploaded. So that's what we do for Latin Filtered Latest. We also have releases, so update our fans on any new releases that we've been working on. Just it's kind of like a social hub community that we use to update it on the Latin music / culture.
Yeah, and it's about us kind of creating our own content and sort of building on what the artist has created to create new content, tell that story like we were saying in different ways, and expand what the artist is doing beyond just what they're releasing, and kind of building around that so that there's more to kind of get into and find interesting. So we sometimes do deep dives into an artist where we'll break down different elements of their album or their kind of artistic choices, and just to create unique content for fans that they wouldn't otherwise be seeing. And we have sometimes exclusive access to the artist, so that allows us to kind of sometimes create stuff that you'll never see anywhere else. So we had Shakira shout out Koko Latino recently.
That's cool.
So yeah.
And Koko Latino is the Japanese version of Latin Filtered that we last year. So yeah, same goals, but in Japanese.
Yeah, I love you guys' creative. So cute. On both accounts. I think it's really super important that we talk with the podcast listeners, and many of them talk about it's difficult to find any information on like TV or radio. They don't talk about Latin music, and then especially people living outside of like Tokyo or Osaka, like not like big city, they don't have like close friends to talk about kind of topics. So you guys are doing a great job on sending us a periodical update. So that's super helpful.
Just a little back story for the Koko Latino name. Koko obviously in Japanese means Koko, here. And the whole idea was like Koko Latino, like this is where you get all the Latin, Latin
Nice.
culture. So that's why it's called Koko-chan. Koko Latino.
なんかここに来てください。Right. Nice. By the way, you guys both like good at Japanese. Why? Nanami-san is got Japanese half, I think. Yeah.
I'm from Yokohama.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Aobada.
Oh.
青葉だ。めっちゃローカル。
I studied Japanese at school.
Wow.
Secondary school and sixth form, and I went to Osaka twice for ryugaku. Yeah, and then 初留学しました。
そうなんだ。
Nice.
すごいペラペラ。
そう。We should change the language to Japanese in this podcast.
Yeah.
But many English speakers are listening too, so let's keep in English. But anyway, that's great. Yeah, please visit Japan more.
Yeah.
Nanami goes a lot.
Yeah, I go once or twice a year to visit family, but
Okay.
I want to live in Tokyo eventually one day.
Yeah. I see.
And we got to go, we were there together in October, and that was super fun to just, be working on the Latin music, running around Tokyo, sorting things. That's time. So yeah, I definitely want to go back soon.
Yeah. Come. So do you guys like often go to outside of London for marketing events and so on, or mostly you work in London and do your work like online?
Us too, we don't get to travel much just because we're pretty junior, but the people like the rest of the team, they travel a lot, especially like the head boss. He goes a lot to the European markets and also Asia, like Korea, Japan, Middle East. So they travel a lot, but we are more stuck in London.
In the future. I see. So I can see that Sony is putting a lot of like a focus on Latin music, and you already mentioned about like trend that artists are able to sing in their own language and for like so on. But is there any other like reasons behind why Latin music is getting really focused in Sony?
I would say the reason for the focus is because Spanish speakers make up such a big proportion of the world. Obviously, the whole of South America is such a huge developing market, and it means that not only are there lots of fans, but there's also a lot of talent coming out of there. And the Latin diaspora being all across the world, there is audiences everywhere in the world that you can reach. So that's why there's such an international focus, because there are Spanish speakers and Portuguese speakers everywhere, and there's also so much talent creating in that language. It's kind of, you have to kind of match the talent with the fans that are everywhere. And I think also people are generally becoming more more adventurous with their music tastes. I think with Spotify and algorithms, people are more open to new types of music, whether that is language or a completely different genre. So I think that Latin is particularly important now because people are open to, different things. Similarly, Latin music is super similar to Afro beats, and African music is the biggest growing genre now. It's overtaken Latin.
Really?
Yeah, and so the kind of rhythmic similarities allow for kind of crossover. So when we mentioned Capo, for example, Capo has collabed with a lot of Afrobeats artists. See a lot of like other Latin acts collaborating with Afrobeats as well.
Like Rao and Ira Star, they had that big Santa hit.
Yeah.
I see this. Okay. So, Hatsu, do you have anything you want to ask before we close this episode?
Yeah, I think some of the parts overlap maybe, but the just compared to other countries in Europe or the US, of course, in Japan, like music market is very big, but the Latin music is, to be honest, I don't think not so big in Japan. And I think domestic J-pop or Japanese music is pretty much dominant in our music industry. And then recently, of course, K-pop. I want to see, of course, more Latin music in Japan, but is it like, if you can do like crazy things, one thing, like what's gonna be like really effective in boosting this momentum or, open discussion or any crazy idea, brainstorming things. But do you guys have like any idea, like what could be the lever to like really push this momentum?
Taking like what we did with Rao, sort of taking the artist to the market in Japan is super important, so that the artist also has even more of an interest in growing in Japan and motivation. So with Catriel and Paco now going in July, I think we would love to see something different and fun that the fans can, be curious about the artist. So who are these people? So we're thinking, we're brainstorming right now some fun, crazy ideas to do when in July. Nothing is set in stone, but you might see some stuff on Koko and Latin Filtered and as well. But I think making the artists super involved and motivated to be in the market.
I think the thing that we've spoken with the Japanese team about in terms of Latin music is consistency. Like the artist needs to be coming back to Japan regularly to show fans that they really care about the Japanese market and the Japanese fans. Regular shows back in Japan is kind of one of the things that it's kind of encouraged, but also understanding that music consumption in Japan is a different kind of market and a different, physical CDs and everything like that is so important, and people enjoy CDs with, fun inclusions and, cards and covers. So it's about understanding what fans will want there, and making sure that we have that as well.
And that's really important, because like one of the reason why most of Japanese people don't know about Latin music is because of like physical distance, which is really far away. So I totally agree with your strategy on bringing artists actually to Japan to like have fun with, like, to create that direct interaction with artists and the fans will be one of the biggest thing about spreading Latin music in Japan.
Yeah, and I think also, we have collabs sometimes with Japanese artists, like Proud with Millennium Parade last year.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, it was really fun, and I think those kind of things we need more of that to really show that the artists themselves are interested in kind of Japanese artists as well, and kind of collaborating with them as well. I think it's interesting for Japanese fans to see why all of these collaborations come about and what's interesting for the artist.
Yeah, we noticed like many Latin musicians are actually collaborating really, really a lot. Like, I don't know, like anybody who creates music in Latin culture. But in Japan as one country, like we don't see that much collaboration between Japanese artists. So I think I really, really want that to be happening more often from Japanese perspective too, because we need something new, and we want Japan to be more collaborating with outside of Japan. And so I think it's really good if we can do that.
Yeah, then when you compare with like K-pop, there's so many K-pop artists who always collab with acts and with like English speaking acts quite regularly, but it's less common for Japanese bands. So maybe Latin is the way to do that.
Yeah, just open up the gate. With Latin bands. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Are you guys going to see J Balvin at Summer Sonic?
Yeah.
We already bought the ticket.
Super exciting.
Maybe.
Keep an eye out for Gabriel and Paco Amoroso. They'll be in Japan.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Check them out.
Yeah, Fuji Rock is one of the biggest festival. Have you ever been there?
No.
You should. It's really, really fun. Like compared to like normal festival, which is like Summer Sonic, people bring their own tent and then stay at the venue, like camping. And then you can actually, like, the venue is like so huge. So you actually walk around the forest to go to other venue. And it's really, really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like totally trekking plus music festival. So
yeah,
it's really fun.
Yeah.
But when it rains, it's disaster. Because I've only been there one time, and then when I went there for the first time, like it was raining a lot, like too much, and like people were like dancing in the pool almost because of the rain, and it was crazy. So yeah, when it rains, it's not good, but hopefully it gets sunny this season.
Hopefully.
Okay. So
Yeah. Any last word to Japanese Latin fans?
yeah, Japanese audience, Japanese fans.
ラテンの音楽聞きたかったら、ココラティノとラテンフィルターのプレイリスト、Spotify のプレイリストを見てください。
楽しみ。
Check it out.
載せておきますね。
うん
プレイリスト。エピソードに。
本当にありがとうございました。
Yeah, it's super fun talking with you guys, and hopefully we can make Latin music big together with all the Latin fans.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Nanami and Georgie.